In tonight's headlines, Beijing's top official for Hong Kong affairs, Xia Baolong, meets with the city's political and business leaders to discuss strategies for enhancing local economic growth. The Monetary Authority trims its lending rate by a quarter percentage point following a similar move by the U.S. Federal Reserve. And lawmakers on the mainland approve a bill to raise the debt ceiling for local governments to 6 trillion yuan to replace hidden liabilities.
Beijing's top official on Hong Kong affairs, Xia Baolong, met with the city's political and business leaders today in Shenzhen to convey the central government's latest economic policies to the city leaders and discuss strategies for enhancing local economic growth. Xia, director of the Hong Kong and Macau Affairs Office, was joined by Chief Executive John Lee and Zheng Yansheng, director of the Central Government Liaison Office in Hong Kong. Government officials including Chief Secretary Eric Chen, Financial Secretary Paul Chen, and Deputy Secretary for Justice Horace Chun were also seen on the spot. Business representatives at the symposium included Eric Ma, Chief Operating Officer of New Road Development, Raymond Kwok, Chairman and Managing Director of Sun Hong Kai Properties, Richard Lee, Chairman of Pacific Century Group, Peter Lee, Chairman of Henderson Land, and Pansy Ho, a standing committee member of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference from the SAR. This marks Xia's second meeting with Hong Kong leaders. In the meantime, the meeting also came hot on the heels of the U.S. election, so topics could also mention strategies against President-elect Donald Trump's proposed 60% tariff hike, as well as a possible trade war 2.0. Sources also noted that Xia urged participants from the business sector to speak the truth. While details remain undisclosed, analysts suggest that he may encourage them to share genuine pain points in their sectors rather than masking issues with a facade of tranquility. Quentin Yang, Cable News.
To further advance the rule of law and access to justice in the SAR, Chief Executive John Lee officially launched the Hong Kong International Legal Talents Training Academy on the final day of the Hong Kong Legal Week. With an oversight from the Department of Justice, the initiative to establish the academy was first floored by Lee in his policy address last year. The SAR's common law system and international status offers the perfect backdrop to nurture legal talent. Speaking through a video call from Shenzhen, the chief executive said the rule of law is the bedrock of the SAR's legal framework.
The academy will cultivate the skills of our legal and dispute resolution professionals. It will also collaborate with international organizations and legal bodies, strengthening exchanges in regions under the Belt and Road Initiative and underlying Hong Kong's status as a capacity-building center for legal talent throughout the region and beyond.
Addressing the forum in Hong Kong, Chief Justice Andrew Zhang said judicial independence is crucial in achieving economic prosperity.
If there is any compromise of this independence, the public's trust in the administration of justice, and by extension, in the rule of law itself, will inevitably be undermined. This trust, however, does not arise automatically, nor can it be taken for granted. It is fostered and maintained through transparency and accountability.
Wang Zhenjiang, Vice Minister for the Mainland's Ministry of Justice, highlighted Hong Kong's unique position under the one country, two systems principle, stating that the SAR should leverage this advantage and foster collaboration across various sectors to maximize its potential. Evelyn Bai, Cable News. In a widely expected move, the Federal Reserve of the United States slashed its interest rates by a quarter of a percentage point amid cooling inflation. The rate cut, following a larger half-point reduction in September that marked the beginning of the current rate cutting, lowers the federal funds rate to a range of 4.5% to 4.75%. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell said the risks to achieving the employment and inflation goals were roughly in balance. And as the monetary policy moves toward a more neutral stance over time, the Fed may slow down its pace in rate cutting.
In considering additional adjustments to the target range for the federal funds rate, the committee will carefully assess incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risks. We are not on any preset course. We will continue to make our decisions meeting by meeting.
The Fed chief also stressed that policy decisions in the short term would not be affected by Tuesday's presidential election.
In the near term, the election will have no effects on our policy decisions. Here, we don't know what the timing and substance of any policy changes will be. We therefore don't know what the effects on the economy would be, specifically whether and to what extent those policies would matter for the achievement of our goal variables, maximum employment and price stability.
The two rate cuts so far this year have reduced the federal funds rate by a combined 0.75 percentage points. But the larger impact will be felt if the Fed continues to cut rates at its December meeting and into 2025, experts say. Evelyn Bai, Cable News. Following the U.S. Federal Reserve's quarter percentage point rate cut, the Hong Kong Monetary Authority trimmed its base rate by a quarter percentage point to 5%, effective immediately. In response, major banks in the city, including HSBC, Bank of China Hong Kong, and Standard Chartered, will also lower their prime rates by 25 basis points to 5.375% from Monday. HSBC Hong Kong's Chief Executive Officer Luan Lim said the move came in light of the latest U.S. rate cut and factors including economic and market conditions, and that the bank will continue to monitor the external environment and local economic outlook to adjust their rates as needed. Meanwhile, the HKMA noted in a statement that the pace of future Fed rate cuts remains uncertain, as it is subjected to U.S. economic data. Furthermore, monetary policies across the major economies are not entirely in sync, while interest rates might still remain at relatively high levels for some time. The city's de facto bank urged the public to carefully assess and manage interest rate risk.
Lawmakers in the mainland approved a proposal to raise the limit on local government debt by 6 trillion yuan to swap existing hidden debts. The bill, which was passed during a meeting by the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress, which concluded today, aims to help resolve local debt risks, said Xu Hongcai, Deputy Director of the NPC's Financial and Economic Affairs Committee. Xu also said for ease of operation and to maximize policy effectiveness early, the entire new debt limit will be allocated as a special debt limit, approved in one go and implemented over 3 years. According to the arrangement, the local government's special debt limit will increase from 29.52 trillion yuan to 35.52 trillion yuan by year-end. Meanwhile, Finance Minister Lan Fo-an, speaking at the same press conference, said hidden debt of local governments stood at 14.3 trillion yuan at the end of 2023, which authorities planned to trim to 2.3 trillion yuan by 2028. Lan also said authorities will implement policies to support state sectors' purchase of unsold apartments and reclaim undeveloped residential land from property developers, as well as replenish the capital of big state banks, but did not give details on the size or timing of those measures. Standby signal number 1 will remain in force until at least tomorrow noon, while the city's weather forecaster may issue the number 3 warning signal during weekend as Super Typhoon Yingxin edges closer. The warning signal was issued at 12:40 p.m., with the observatory saying strong winds associated with Yingxing should have little impact on the city due to its relatively small circulation. Winds over the coast of the Guangdong province could strengthen between Saturday and Sunday morning as a result of the combined effects of Yingxing and the northeast monsoon. The forecaster will assess the need to issue a higher warning signal by then. Separately, thanks to the dry northeast monsoon, which is also bringing generally fine weather to the Guangdong region, the mercury hit as low as 20.9 degrees Celsius at the observatory's headquarters this morning, marking the coolest temperature recorded so far this autumn.
As US President-elect Donald Trump goes about the task of assembling a jigsaw puzzle to put in place a political team to serve in his administration, the Manhattan billionaire confirmed the first appointment. Susan Wiles will be Trump's chief of staff in the White House. Wiles masterminded Trump's campaign, which led to his landslide victory over US Vice President Kamala Harris. A campaign veteran since the 1980s, Wiles will be the first woman to take up the role of chief of staff. Other potential candidates who could hold key positions in the new Trump administration are going through the vetting process. But one of the biggest challenges for the former president will be the promised deportation of thousands of illegal migrants from the United States. In his first interview since his victory, Trump said there is no price tag for his mass deportation plans. The immigration policy was a major contributing factor to Trump's success. However, migrants are not deterred, and many people from Latin and Central America are heading for the US-Mexico border, where Trump has promised to build a wall.